Could a penguin ride a bike? And other questions. A penguin is a bird that can swim but cannot fly. King penguins live on islands near the South Pole. It's freezing cold and bitter winds blow hard across the snow. Imagine if a king penguin came to stay. What would he do? Could a penguin play football? He might think the ball is an egg. He would hide it underneath his fluffy tummy feathers to keep it warm. A king penguin carries his egg on his feet to keep it off the ground. Mums and dads take turns looking after the egg for 2 months until it hatches. A baby penguin is called a chick. What if a penguin went to the swimming pool? Penguins love to swim, so he would dive right in. He would use his wings like flippers to fly through the water. Penguins are champion swimmers. They can swim 4 times faster than the fastest human swimmers. Penguins can stay underwater for 5 minutes at a time. What if a baby penguin came for dinner? He might try to eat everything. An adult penguin eats about 50 fish a day, but a chick needs to eat about 200. That's because chicks grow a thick layer of fat to keep them warm in the icy weather. What if a penguin went bowling? He wouldn't be able to throw a ball. He doesn't have fingers or hands. He has wings instead. Who needs a ball anyway? Penguins love to slide on their tummies along the ice. It's called tobogganing. Whoosh! It's so much quicker than waddling. Could a penguin ride a bike? A penguin would fall off a bike. His legs are too short to reach the pedals, but he would be zoom-tastic on a scooter. He could also do cool tricks on a skateboard. Penguins have wide, webbed feet. They're great at balancing because they live on slippery rocks and ice. What if a penguin went on a picnic? He wouldn't need to pack a picnic basket. At lunchtime, he would sick up stinky fish from his tummy and share them with everyone. Yum. Penguins' parents swallow fish at the sea and then sick them up to feed their chicks. Could a penguin join a choir? He would sound terrible. Some birds sing beautifully, but not penguins. Penguins and chicks honk, squawk and whistle so that they can find each other. What if a penguin went to the supermarket? He would feel right at home in the cold aisle. A penguin's island home is even colder than the inside of a fridge. Penguins' bodies are covered in feathers which work like a thick blanket to keep them warm. When chicks get cold, they huddle together in big groups called creches. What if a penguin stayed the night? He wouldn't want to stay in the guest room. Penguins get too lonely by themselves. In some places, 1 million penguins live together in a big group called a colony. A penguin wouldn't need a bed or a sleeping bag. Penguins sleep standing up with their beaks tucked under their wings. More facts about penguins. King Penguin is pointing to the places where he lives. Can you see where you live? There are 17 different types of penguin. The largest ones are emperor penguins. King penguins are the second largest. Penguins have black and white waterproof feathers. Most penguins live in cold places, but some types live in places where the weather is warm, such as South Africa. Penguins eat fish, shellfish and squid. They swim fast to catch their food. While other birds have wings for flying, penguins have flippers to help them swim in the water. Greetings from Antarctica. I am back home now on my snow-covered island near the South Pole. It's lovely and cold and I can spend all day diving into the sea. I had yummy fish for breakfast, lunch and tea yesterday and it's great to be back with my family. See you soon. Love, King Penguin. Hi, so today's session is based around the book Could a Penguin Ride a Bike and Other Questions. I've recorded myself reading the book, so you can hop over to that video and enjoy that if you would like to, although you could still take part in the session without having watched it. It's a non-fiction book, so it's not a story, it's a non-fiction book, but it's done in quite a fun, informal way. where the author asks questions and then the information is in the answer to those questions. So today's English session is all about questions. All you need to take part in the session is something to write with and something to write on. And that can be absolutely anything. So let's begin. There are 4 types of sentence. All sentences fit into 4 types of sentence. There are questions that we will look at today, exclamations, commands, and statements. All sentences start with a capital or uppercase letter, all of them, and then they all require punctuation at the end. Now, the punctuation that we need for a question is a question mark. Do you think you know what a question mark looks like? Can you have a go at writing one? Can you do it either in the air or on your paper? But can you have a go at doing a question mark, and we will see whether or not we agree, because we definitely need to know how to do that. Here is my question mark. You will see that it has what looks like a full stop underneath. So we can remember that this bit of punctuation goes at the end of a sentence, but it only goes at the end of a question, that special sort of sentence. To do a question mark, we start at the top and we go round, down, and then a dot underneath. Why don't you pause the video and have a go? See if you can do 5 of your own. Remember, start at the top and go round and down and a dot underneath. I'll see you on the other side. How did you get on? Brilliant. And if you're still finding that a bit tricky, that's okay. Persevere with it and they'll get there. As long as it looks something similar, people will know what you're trying to get at. And then you can get better and better and better until they're perfect. Sometimes it's a tricky shape to do. Let's have a think about the role of a question. What is a question? That was a question in itself. A question has a very special job. A question's job is to find out more information. So I ask a question about something that I'm not sure about, or I would like to find out more about. Where are you from? What is your name? Do you have a cat? Can you think of any other questions that we could ask each other? They are great ideas. Anything that we don't know, we can ask about. If I said to you, your cat is black, did I ask you a question? No, you're right, I didn't. I assumed. I said your cat was black. Can you fix it? Absolutely. Is your cat black? Would be a great question. Or, do you have a cat? If we really don't know. But a question is all about finding out more information. Generally, questions start with a bank of similar words. We can use 5 key ones. Who, where, when, what, and why. They all start with W, and that makes it a bit easy to remember them. Who, where, when, what, and why. But there are some other question words too. I use the word is, are, can, do. They're all question words too. Could, because the title of our book was Could a Penguin Ride a Bike? So could can be used as a question word too. Let's have a go and see if we can come up with some questions that we can ask each other. Let's see if we can do 5. A where, when, why, what, and who. I did it the wrong way around. But who, where, when, why, what. Let's have 5 questions, 1 for each. Pause the video, have a think, and then we'll share them. Are you ready? Okay. Who? Who do you like playing with? Where? Where can you eat your food? When? When do you go to bed? What? What do you love to do the most? And why? Why are you so smiling? That was a silly one, but we can ask all sorts of questions, and using those as a basis is a good place to start. Now, the non-fiction book that we read on the other video was all about penguins, so we could have a go at writing some questions that are all about penguins. Let's use our 5-question model first, and then we'll come up with some different ones afterwards. So let's start with a who, where, when, what and why question, but all about penguins. Now, remember when we're writing that all of our question words need to start with a capital letter, and generally when we're writing a question, our question word comes first. Okay, who, about penguins. Who looks after the eggs? Who looks after the eggs? Where? Where can penguins be found? When? When do baby penguins leave their parents? What? What do penguins eat? Why? Why are penguins covered in feathers? They were a good set of questions, weren't they? We could have a go at writing one of them down. So let's start with an easy one. My question for what was, what do they eat? So we've got the word what, and then we need to remember a finger space in between our words. Do is a weird word because it only has one O. What do they eat? And what do we need at the end? You're absolutely spot on. If we're writing our question, it needs to end with a question mark. What, finger space, do, finger space, they, finger space, eat, with a question mark at the end. What do they eat? Okay, let's pause the video and see if we can come up with 5 other questions about penguins. They could start with our words, with our W words, who, where, when, what or why, or they could start with is, are, can, could, do, or how. Oh, there are so many words that we can ask information. Have a go and see how you get on. Welcome back. How did you get on with your questions? Would they help you to find out more information? If they did, you asked the question. But if they didn't, maybe you wrote a statement. I wrote some questions, but I have a sneaky feeling that I got some things wrong. So I wonder if you could help fix my mistake. Let's have a look. Okay. First, we'll have to read it. Can a swim penguin? Can a swim penguin? I definitely got something wrong. It doesn't sound right. But I did start with a capital letter. I did finish with a question mark. And I did remember my finger spaces between each of my words. So I did do some great things. You're absolutely right. Can a penguin swim? Oh, I didn't keep my words in my head when I was writing. We need to switch round these 2 words. It should be, can a penguin swim? Not, can a swim penguin? Great job. Okay, what about the next one? How do they stay warm? All my words are in the right order. It does make sense. And it is a question. It is trying to find out more. I remembered my capital letter. I remembered my finger spaces in between each of my words. You're spot on. The bit that I was missing this time was that tricky question mark. All questions need to finish with a question mark, and that one didn't have one. Good noticing. Okay, is a penguin a bird? Oh, is a penguin a bird? It makes perfect sense. The words are in the right order. It finishes with a question mark. Look, I remembered it this time. And it has its finger spaces in between its words. But it doesn't start with a capital letter, and it needs to. So a capital I is long and tall, has at the top and the bottom. By itself, that would be the word I, but only ever by itself. This is just a capital letter, and it just makes an I for is. They need to start with a capital letter, they need finger spaces in between, and they need to end with a question mark because they are a question. We have a few minutes left of our video today. Let's see if we can write the perfect question together. Let's write one about penguins. Let's see if together we can write the question, how do penguins eat? Okay, let's start with the word how and a capital H. Well done. Now we need to remember finger space between our words. So we get that pointy finger out and pop it down. How do. Ooh, but remember it's a tricky word. It's a common exception word. It only has one O. How do penguins. The first bit is like a pen, and then it's G-U-I-N-S. Penguins. How do penguins. Need another finger space. I need to start a new line because I don't have enough room for the word. How do penguins eat? The E sound in eat is an E and an A, an E and an A. How do penguins eat? And at the end, we need to remember the question mark. What an amazing job. I'm sure that you could come up with lots of questions and do lots of asking, and that you could write a question really well now. What an amazing job you've done. And I'll see you soon. Hi. So the book that I chose for the first couple of weeks was Could a Penguin Ride a Bike? The English sessions both link to that, and the science sessions will too. So I thought, let's link those math sessions in as well. So today we're going to think about the fact that penguins come in pairs, and they have 2 feet, and we are going to count in twos and look at doubles. All you will need for today is something to write with and something to count with. It could be absolutely anything. So something to write with, something to write on, and something to count with, but it can be absolutely anything. Let's pause the video and I will meet you back here when you have everything you need. Welcome back. I wonder what you found. I have a little game that has these little penguins that come in pairs. So I'm going to use those for counting today, but anything will do the job. Let's start though by counting in twos. We can clap. Every time we say a number, we can clap. So let's start at 0 and count in twos, and we will go all the way up to, we'll just go to 24. We'll just do 12 times 2. Right, are you ready? 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22, 24. What would come next? You are spot on. 26 would come next. I'm going to have a go at writing those numbers down, and we'll have a look and see if we can spot any patterns. Okay, as if like magic, I wrote them down. We can go again. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22, 24, and we worked out that the next one would be 26. Can you follow the pattern on my board to work out what would come next? You're absolutely right. The ones stay the same, and it's just the tens that have changed. So we're using 2 tens here. So this one would be 28. The next one's trickier. So we would have 28 here. But here, look, remember the rule? The ones stay the same and it's the tens that change. But here, we already have 2 tens. You're absolutely right. The next one would be 30. Now, there are some gaps in between my numbers because we counted in twos. So there's a number missing in between each one. All of the numbers that are on my board at the moment are even numbers. Could you write down the even numbers? Just up to 20. Leave spaces, and then we're going to see if we can fit the odd numbers in after. But can you write the numbers in the pattern? 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20. I'll say them one more time. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20. Well done. And now what we should be able to do is see that all of those numbers that we currently have are even numbers. And then the other numbers that would go in those gaps are the odd numbers. I just went back through and added them in. So we've got 1, 3, 5, 7, 9. 1, 3, 5, 7, 9. There are odd digits. Now, I can write any number. It can be huge, and I can still tell, like that, if it is odd or even, because it's super easy to tell if a number is odd or even. It doesn't matter about any of the early digits. The only digit that matters is the last one. So if I write, let's write a big number. Let's write 5,764. 5,764. None of these digits matter. The only one that matters when it comes to working out whether it is odd or even is the last one here. This is a 4. If 4 is even, the whole number is even. And if 4 is odd, then the whole number is odd. So we counted in even numbers first. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. But it can't end in 10, it ends in a 0. So 5,764 ends in a 4. Therefore, it is even. It's absolutely even. What about 72,519? Yeah, you're right. It ends in a 9. It's odd. 1,733,404 is even. It ends in a 4. Well done. So it doesn't matter how big or how small our number is. The only one that matters is that end digit. And if it's even, 2, 4, 6, 8 or 0, then the whole number is even. And if it's odd, 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, the whole number is odd. That's a useful thing to know. Let's get back to our penguin pairs, and we are going to have a go at doing something. Find your counting thing, put them in twos, and I'll meet you on the other side. Did you pair up your counting bits? Perfect. Then we're ready to go. We are going to do some doubles. Now, it sounds complicated, but it's not. Because to find a double, we add the same again. So if I'm writing a number sentence, if I'm doing double 1, then what I'm doing is 1 add 1. If what I'm doing is double 7, then I'm doing 7 add 7. If I want to find double 10, then it's 10 add 10. Double 15, 15 add 15. Now, there are easier ways to go about that. But yeah, you're absolutely right. So I made my life easier by pairing up my penguins. Because if I want to find out what double 2 is, then I can find 2 of my piles and each one has a double. So 2 and 2 is 1, 2, 3, 4 altogether. If I want to find double 3, can you do it with your things? You'll have 3 lots. Let's count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So double 3 is the same as 3 and 3, which is 6. Well done. Now you can do this in different ways when we get to being bigger numbers. So while I'm only working with little numbers, it's fine for me to count all of them. But if I wanted to have more, if I wanted to double 6, it might be easier for me to just get 6 and count on. So if I put 6 in my head, I can count on 6 more. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So double 6 is 12. I find 6 and 6 more and add them together, but I can do that by putting 6 in my head and by counting on. Pause the video and see if you can find doubles for all of the numbers up to 8. I'll see you on the other side. Okay, so how did you get on? Double 1, don't forget, double just means add the same on. Double 1, double 2, double 3, double 4, double 5, double 6, double 7, double 8. If you got them wrong, just keep practicing. Now, when we come to do doubles with slightly bigger numbers, we might need to consider a way of working that out. So, if we wanted to double a number that had 10s and it had 1s, we are going to do exactly the same thing. We are going to add the number on again, but it might be easier to split it into its 10s and its 1s. So if I want to find double 12, write the number sentence down for me. What would it be? If I'm doing double 12, yeah, absolutely. 12, add 12. We're adding the same thing on again. Now I could start at 12 and I could count on 12 more, but I don't have 12 fingers and I might get lost. It would be easier for me to add the 10s first and then add the 1s. So if I'm going to add 10s first, then look, my number is made up of 10 and 2. So 10 add 10. So my 10 add 10 is 20. And then 2 add 2, 4. And then put them together, 24. So if I'm doing a number that has tens and it has ones, I'll add the tens together first, then I'll add the ones together, and then I'll put them together. So let's do a few more like that. Remember, double just means add the same again. So let's have a go at doubling 14, 22, and let's go big. Let's double 43. So 14, 22, and 43. And we are going to do it in exactly the same way as I just did. So, are you ready? Remember, double just means add the same one again. So 10 and 10 makes 20, 4 and 4 makes 8. 20 and 8 are 28. Exactly. Or a bit trickier. 20 and 20, 30, 40. And then 2 and 2 make 4. So 44. Oh, and then at the bottom, 40 and 40. Now remember, what you could always do is you could do it as 4 and 4, and then you could just multiply it by 10 afterwards. You could add the 0 back in. So in which case 4 and 4 is 8, multiplied by 10 is 80. So 80, and then 3 and 3 is 6. So 43 doubled is 86. So we can double any number we want by doing exactly that. By adding together the tens, adding together the ones, and putting them together. We could do it practically using our things. When we were using lower numbers, we can use our head, and we can add the tens and the ones together when we're using slightly bigger numbers. But double just means add the same thing on. Hi, it's really cold today, and that got me thinking about penguins. I read a book all about penguins recently. It's called Could a Penguin Ride a Bike? And Other Questions. It's a non-fiction book all about penguins. If you've not seen it yet, you could hop over to that video and give it a watch. But I learned some really interesting things about penguins. One of them was that they live in really cold places. And it got me thinking, on a day like today, how does a penguin stay warm? So I thought I could do a little experiment to show how a penguin, one of the ways that a penguin keeps warm. And we'll talk about some of the others along the way. I wonder, how could I prove that a penguin has very clever little techniques in their body to keep them warm? Can you think of any ideas? What a great idea for my experiment. I want to look at the feathers that cover a penguin. Because a penguin doesn't have fur like my coat. A penguin has feathers. And I think those feathers play a very important role in keeping the penguin warm. You could join in with my experiment if you wanted to. Or you could just watch. I'm going to need some wax crayons, some felt tip pens, and I need a picture of 2 penguins. Now, I'm not very good at drawing, so I printed mine off. But you could draw 2 penguins and they would be absolutely fine. You just need 2 penguins on the same piece of paper, and then we will need some water a little bit later on. So if you're going to join in with my experiment, then go grab the things that you need: felt pens, wax crayons, a picture of 2 penguins that you can draw, and then you just need to have water somewhere close, and then come back and join us. And if not, then let's crack on. Okay, so I've got my 2 penguins and I am going to colour them in using the ink, using the felt pens, and using the wax crayons. So I can, it doesn't really matter what colour they are. It's not to do with the colour that they are. It is more to do with covering them in different materials. So this one has ink in it, the felt tip has ink in it, and these are obviously wax crayons. So these are very waxy, these are made of wax. So I'm going to make sure that I colour in, pressing down quite heavy, so I get a good covering of wax on the wax ones, and also a good covering of felt pen on the felt pen ones. And I'm just going to make my penguins look really, really silly. I'm going to colour them in multicoloured patchwork. Going to make them as bright as possible. So I'll carry on. If you're joining in with me, you carry on too, and I'll meet you back here when our penguins are coloured in. Okay, I am ready to go. I have my 2 penguins all coloured in. One is waxy and the other is covered in pen. I didn't colour them in the right colours, the appropriate colours. I used all the colours because sometimes that's good fun. And actually for my science experiment, it really doesn't matter. So what we are going to do is going to go and find some water and see whether or not the inky penguin or the waxy penguin is more like a real penguin. Let's go find some water. Okay, so we are all ready to go with our penguins, with our waxy penguin and our inky penguin. And I've got some water. Nothing fancy, we don't need a spray gun or anything like that. We can just do it by dipping our fingers in and then flicking the water at the penguins. Now I have attached mine to a tiled surface so that I don't get water everywhere, so that I don't make a mess. Let's zoom you in and then we'll do the experiment and we can have a chat about it afterwards. Let's start with our inky penguin. Let's get him nice and soggy. He's nice and cold. Oh no, he's running. He's making a horrible mess all over my paper at the bottom. That's not ideal. I wonder what will happen with my waxy penguin on the other side. Wow, can you see that? Can you see all the little globules of water sitting on him? He's great for underwater or somewhere cold because the water just sits on him. Inky penguin, not such a great design. Wow, how clever. The water stayed like droplets on my wax penguin, but it sort of ruined my felt tip one. It just became a smushy, painty mess. I wonder how that links to the penguins. The penguins don't become a painty mess, you're right, and their colours don't mix, otherwise they'd just be grey. They wouldn't be black and white, would they? So do real penguins have inky feathers or waxy feathers? You are spot on. Those penguins have waxy feathers. They are waxy feathers, not coloured in with wax crayon, but they are waxy feathers. What our experiment showed us is that those water droplets on the outside of our coloured in penguin are exactly the same as the water droplets that would stay on the outside of the waxy feathers on a real penguin. So a penguin is waterproof. A penguin has waterproof feathers. Why would that help to keep it warm? You're right. Have you ever been swimming and then when you get out, or had a bath, or been for a dip in any sort of water, and when you get out, it's so chilly and you have to dry off really quick and get yourself dressed so that you're not cold anymore? Can you imagine if you had fur and it was all wet and then you lived somewhere where it was super cold? Oh, you'd turn into an icicle, wouldn't you? That wouldn't be very practical for a penguin. So a penguin has waterproof feathers on the outside to keep them warm. How clever little penguins. Penguins also have a layer of fat underneath their feathers to keep them warm. The penguins, the grown-up penguins, use that layer of fat to help protect their baby. Penguins are birds, which means that penguins lay eggs. And when the penguin has an egg, they have to incubate it and keep it warm. But they live in a really cold place, so they can't leave it in a nest because it would get cold, so they keep it on them all the time. And they rest the little egg on their feet, so the bottom doesn't touch the snow, doesn't touch the cold. They rest it on their feet, and then they cover the egg over with their fat little bellies, and that helps to keep the egg nice and warm so that it can be incubated and it can hatch. There is a wonderful story of the march of the penguins, and they live together and they huddle together. And there are thousands of penguins that all huddle together to keep warm. And then when they have their babies, it's the dads that look after them and keep them warm while the mums go off. They have to walk miles and miles and miles to find fish and bring it back to them. And they do. They find the fish and they bring it back, and then they sick it up and they feed the babies, which is a bit gross. But those daddies all huddle together and share their warmth with each other and with the babies. And so their layer of fat underneath their skin, that will help to keep them warm. They huddle together to keep warm as a group, and those waxy feathers help to keep them waterproof so that they don't get wet. What clever animals. We can't keep warm in the same way, but I wonder how you keep warm. So today not only did we learn lots about penguins, and if you would like to learn a little bit more about penguins, then I read a brilliant book called Could a Penguin Ride a Bike and Other Questions, and it's a non-fiction text, so it's information, but it's done in a really fun question and answer way. You could go and watch that video and you could find out a bit more about penguins. But we also had a look at how to think of a question and then put together a little investigation around it. So I had a wonder. I wondered how penguins stayed warm, and I had an inkling that it might be to do with their feathers. I did a sneaky bit of research beforehand, and then when I'd found out that the ends of their feathers are waxy, I thought, I know the perfect way to show this in an investigation, in a little experiment. We can do this with lots of different things. If we are inquisitive and we ask questions, then we can find out lots of things. Sometimes we can search for the information, and we will probably find it a lot of the time, but it's much more fun to put together a little inquiry to see if we can prove it. I love an investigation, and I hope that you enjoyed ours too. If you joined in, I hope you had fun, and if you didn't, if you watched, then I hope that you enjoyed my mucky penguins all over my bathroom wall. I'll go and do the cleaning now. Have a great day.
Hi everyone, it's the first comfort session, and today we're going to do some breathing technique and some comfort stance. You start hands up, breathing in, hands down, breathing out. And let's do exercise for your joints first. 1 foot wide, heel up, cross your finger, raise the ankles. 2. Okay, change. Heel up, circling your ankle, your wrist same time. We always do some exercise for the joints before we do any kung fu movement. So make sure you're not injuring yourself. So help your joint function. Okay, knees. 1. 2. 3. Change. 1, 2, 3. Change. 1, 2, 3. Okay, exercise your hands. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Change. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Good. Keep your elbow up, hands reach out far as you can. When you reach out, when you feel stretching, that's very good for your lung function. 1. Help your breathing. 2. Hands stretching out much as you can. 3, 4, 5. And one hand high as you can, feel like you can touch the ceiling. One hand low as you can, feel like you can touch the floor. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Slightly bend your knees and keep your elbow up and follow your elbow, look back. When you look back, you're breathing out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Good. Relax your shoulders. Slightly bend your knees. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Change. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Shoulders down, head up, and warm up your neck slowly. If you feel the neck muscle stretching, that's good. Change. Okay, rolling your shoulders, full circle. Shoulders forward, marksman up. Then squeeze your shoulder blade together and then all the way down. Feel the movement. 2, 3, change. Squeeze your shoulder blade together, all the way up, and this time shoulders forward. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Relax your back. One hand's up front of your body, one hand's on the back. Breathing out same time. 1, turn your body. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So this is good for your stomach function. Here is for your lungs, yeah? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Next one, you can tap top of your shoulders, and if you have a shoulder problem, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, so this is just exercise for the joints, and now we're going to practice. Next one is how to improve physical strength. Yeah. So first, what we're going to do is a squat. So you keep your foot point straight and lean forward from your head, bend your knees. Then when you stand up, and stretch front of your body. So 1, stretch your back and stretch front of your body. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Good. Now you can do like a knee strike. So like you can keep your hands front of your body. Use your knee touching your hands. So like your knee is the target. So you can do 50 times. 1, 3, 4, 5, 13, 14, 16, 17, 18, 24, 25, 26, 27, 29, 30, 31, 50. Yeah, it's like a knee strike. Because in Kung Fu, if you do like front kick or whip kick or side kick, always knee first. So knee is like aim. It's very important you learn to raise up your knee. And now we're going to practice push-ups. Because we need to build up some strength for punching and kicking. So next, you can keep your hands on the floor and keep your body straight. Bend your arms, 1, and push up, and 2, bend your arm, and push up, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay. Next we practice how to improve your punch, how to punch. So start with 2 foot winds. Keep your foot point straight and clench your fist, elbow back, slightly bend your knees. Make sure your foot point straight. Then 1, hands reach out far as you can. 2, 3, follow your knuckles, look forward. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, a little bit power, elbow and punch. Breathing out when you strike. 1, turn your body, and elbow and punch same time, like a bow and arrow. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Good. Normally you can practice, if you have time you can do 100, but we only have a short session, so we're only going to do 10 times. So this is just teach you how to move your body. You learn how to move from your waist, and you learn how to improve your breathing. Because when you clench your fist, you're breathing into maximum, like you're collecting the power to your body. When you're breathing out, you learn to release the tension. When you're breathing out, it's the best way to get rid of tension from your body. So now we're going to practice 1 Kung Fu stance. So we did the 1 punch. First Kung Fu stance, about 3.5 foot wide. So you go 1, 2, 3, and a little bit more. Keep your foot point straight. You can keep your face and your waist same, then bend your knees. When you do this Kung Fu stance, if you can put a bottle of water on your leg, not falling down, that's good. And you can practice punch as well in this stance. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, good. If you feel your leg hurts a little bit, that's normal, No pain, no gain. So you can practice from standing to the Kung Fu stance 10 times. For example, you can follow me. 1, face on your waist, jump, bend your knees, and jump up. 2, jump, hold for 1 second, jump up. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, so this is just the first Kung Fu stance. So let's do one more breathing technique, then we'll finish for today's session. So this one we call internal breathing exercise. You're standing with 2 foot wide, keep your foot point straight, keep your hands front to your belly button. When you're breathing in, your stomach push out. When you're breathing out, imagine use your belly button touch your back. So breathing in, like you're collecting all the good energy into your body. We call healing power. Breathing out, imagine use your belly button touch your back. If you have a time at home, you can practice 10 times, yeah? Breathing in, stomach up, breathing out. Imagine use your belly button touch your back. So in Kung Fu, we use the breathing for everything. So you use the breathing for punching, kicking, stretching, exercise. And if you know how to use your breathing, then you can use for your study as well, yeah? Okay, so this is the first session. Thank you.
Hello Angel students, how are you doing today? My name is Jay. Thank you so much for spending your time with me. It is a pleasure for me to be able to spend time with you also. I would love us to think about thinking. What do I mean when I say think about thinking? Do you have any idea of what I could mean? Okay, so let me break it down for you. When I say I would like us to think about thinking, I mean literally that. Let's think about the way in which we think. Let's think about the things that we think. Let's think about how often we think about certain things that we think. Okay, it's very important to know what the process of our thoughts are, because our thoughts will bring about emotions, which bring about action, which bring about results. So, how do you think? How many times have you had something that you needed to do, an issue that you needed to solve, and you were able to do it with minimal help, or perhaps somebody just explaining to you what you needed to do as opposed to giving you the answer? How often have you found yourself in a position where you having to think about something and come up with a solution has been something that is what you would say you're confident in? How many times have you had to face a situation where you've had to think, come up with a solution, and it's been positive? The results have been positive, you have felt positive, and therefore it has boosted your self-value and self-esteem. How we think also has a lot to do with how we talk to ourselves. And what I mean by that is the things we say to ourselves about ourselves in our own heads that maybe not everybody else can hear. I say maybe because sometimes we may share the things and the thoughts that go on in our own minds, and sometimes we won't. So I would like you to think about how you talk to yourself. What is your internal dialect like? Are you quite nice to yourself? Are you kind to yourself? Are you encouraging to yourself? Are you perhaps not so nice to yourself, not so encouraging to yourself? What are the things that you will say to yourself? Like if you do something wrong, how do you talk to yourself? It can be very easy for us to say, oh, I'm so silly, I shouldn't have done that. Oh, I've got such a bad memory, I didn't remember. Those are not very nice ways to talk about yourself. Even in jest, even as a joke, those are not good, nice ways to talk about yourself. For example, if somebody that you really care about, it could be a friend, a cousin, mum, dad, anybody that you really care about and you love and you want the absolute best for them, you want them to be happy, you want to know that they're smiling, they're healthy, they're good. If they did something or made a mistake and you heard them saying, oh, I'm so silly, I never get anything right, I'm so forgetful, all of these things, how would that make you feel? And what would you in turn say to them to counteract those thoughts? Okay, so let's say your very close friend, somebody that you adore, you really love spending time with, you spend a lot of time with them, you talk to them a lot, you share your stories with each other, and one day your friend comes to you and they're not saying very nice things about themselves, they're not having a very good day, you know, and you think, well, why would you say those things about yourself? But because you want your friend to feel better and you don't think those things about your friend actually, you decide that what you're going to do is encourage your friend, build your friend up, tell your friend, you just made a mistake, you're not silly at all, look at all the wonderful things that you have done, look at all the wonderful things that you do, look at all the wonderful ways that you are as a person, and you would build them up and you would fill them with positivity, and that is what I want you to be able to do for yourself. It's also important to become aware of patterns in ways that you think. So if something specific happens, you might have a go-to thought that automatically comes up. That is something that I want you to think about when thinking about thinking. And in thinking about thinking, I would like you to also try to observe any patterns in the ways and the thoughts that you think when anything happens. So something specific could happen, you might hear something specific. Does that in turn cause a regular thought pattern to come up for you? The ability alone to be able to think, just as a human being, us having that miraculous ability to think is a very powerful thing, especially when it's used in a positive manner. And as we learn how to use our thinking in a positive manner for the most powerful outcomes for whatever it is we desire, we learn that we almost always have control over ourselves, even in those moments when it feels like we may have outside influences that are out of our control. It could be the environment in which we live, it could be who raises us. You know, there are certain things we don't necessarily get to pick, which is absolutely okay. But when it comes to thinking positively for powerful and positive outcomes, we almost are always certainly in control of that. Now, remember, with thoughts come emotions, and sometimes they can make us feel a certain type of way. I don't like to call them good, bad, nice, not so nice. I'd rather describe them as helpful or unhelpful thoughts and emotions. And because our thoughts produce the emotions, we then know, okay, I feel this type of way because of something I've been thinking. Once you can grab that thought, you can think about what you've been thinking about and turn it around to work in your favor. Thoughts and thinking patterns have a way of being repetitive, hence them having a pattern. The best thing that we can try to do is to get to know those thoughts, get to really observe how we are thinking. In that way, we can ensure the 3 E's. The 3 E's are encouraging, empowering, and enlightening. Once you can identify what it is that you are thinking about more regularly and whether they are helpful or unhelpful thoughts, you will be able to empower yourself, encourage yourself, and enlighten yourself at any given moment. Now, our brains play a very important role in this process because our habits and our beliefs are wired responses in our brains. What does that mean? What that means is that a place, a person, a thing, an experience, whatever it may be, will set off a thought, emotion in our brain when we encounter something like that again. So what does that mean? That means that a place, topic, person, thing becomes linked to a memory or an emotion in your brain. Your brain is extremely efficient. Your brain wants to help you. It wants to keep you safe. It wants to guide you. It wants you to be able to respond quickly to whatever is going on around you in your immediate environment, because what your brain is going to do is going to make a connection between how you are feeling because of what is going on around you. For example, if you can smell your favorite meal being cooked, or there's a song playing that evokes a certain memory because it was a really great time in your life and you relate that song to that moment, therefore it brings up all of those lovely good emotions. Now, that is what happens when you have core memories. Has anyone seen Inside Out? Inside Out? I loved that film. It really explained emotions, core memories, big events that happen in people's life that you will remember. And if you've seen that film, this is kind of what I'm talking about. When you have a core memory evoked by something that was going on around you at the time, and the brain doing whatever it can to hold on to that or to further explore those good emotions. Another example of your brain trying to protect you could be something along the lines of maybe mum and dad say, I want to have a conversation with you later, I want to talk to you. And in the past, when you've heard this, maybe it wasn't really so good. Maybe it wasn't anything that you want to discuss again. So whenever that comes up again, or mum and dad say, I'd like to talk to you, your brain automatically takes you back to the last time that they said that and how you felt then. But this is why at times we need to really be a student, my angel students, of thinking. Because even though something may evoke emotion of anxiety or overthinking, how often than not do you think about something and it works out wonderfully, better than you could have ever thought? It is important, it is extremely important to observe what we think. So my angel students, please become a student of watching your thoughts, observing your thoughts, getting to know your thoughts, not from a place of judgment. Remember, they're neither good nor bad, accurate, inaccurate, right or wrong. It is helpful or unhelpful to your growth and development. Our emotions and feelings are simply our body's way of reacting to whatever it is we are thinking, because thought evokes and creates what? Emotions. Thank you. If you're going to remember anything, you're going to remember that thoughts evoke. Thank you. So when we are thinking, whatever we are thinking, sometimes there are moments when we feel a certain way. We don't even know why we feel a certain way. We can't really explain why we think a certain way, but that's because thoughts are often on autopilot. Remember what I mentioned about patterns, and looking for patterns that will come up when specific things happen, when specific things are said, when you're put in a specific situation, environment, place, whatever it might be. Simply remember that emotions and feelings are our body's way of reacting. All right, so I want to try a little exercise with you, okay? And it's just something I want you to think about and answer whilst you're there. So I'd like you to think about something you don't currently have, but that you would like. It could be anything. It could be something for Christmas. It could be something for your birthday. It could just be something that you would like, something you would like to try, somewhere you would like to go, whatever it is. Okay, so think of something that you would like that you don't currently have. Got it? All right, so now, have you ever been happy while not having it? So what that means is you don't have it right now. You more than likely didn't have it yesterday. So since you decided what it is you would like that you don't actually have, has there been any moment, even for a split second, that you've been happy even though you didn't have this thing? Okay, now if you didn't have it but you didn't actually care that you didn't have it, would you still be unhappy? So you don't have it, you're not really fussed that you don't have it, so would that continue to make you unhappy because you don't have it? All right, last question. If you were doing something that kept you from even thinking about it, would you be unhappy about it. So about the fact that you don't have this thing. But if you were doing something that keeps you fully distracted, you're enjoying yourself elsewhere, you might be at the park, you could be at the cinema, whatever the case may be. But would you be unhappy in that moment because you don't have that thing that it is that you've decided you want? Now, even though I don't know exactly what you would have answered to those questions, I'm going to take a gamble here and I'm going to say, you see, it's not actually not having the thing that you would like that causes any feelings or emotions of unhappiness. It's the thought of not having the thing that you want that causes it. Because there's nothing to say that you're not going to get it. There's nothing to say that you can't have it. But as you think about the fact that you don't have it, more and more and more and more and more, it evokes more and more and more and more emotions and feelings, confirming you don't have this thing. So if you were to switch that around, if you were to use your thoughts in a more positive manner, you may get much better results in terms of how you feel. So let's look at how we can navigate our way of thinking so we can overall improve our feelings and our emotions. So we know thoughts create emotions. So what do emotions create? Well, once we start to feel and emotions are running, we feel then that we need to make a decision. We need to do something. So after emotions usually comes a decision. And once we've made a decision, usually comes action. And once we have action, comes the result. For example, we go back to the phone, computers, tablets. Somebody had the idea to make a phone accessible for everybody at any given time. They got excited about this idea. They researched about this idea. So they had the thought, how could we make this accessible to everybody to have a handheld device? With that thought came the emotion of the ability to do it, the excitement to do it. They then had to make the decision that they were actually going to do it. And in making that decision, you would need connections, you would need materials, you would need products, you would need manufacturing, you would need staff, and so on. And then the action to put it all together with all those prior connections mentioned. And then you have the results of a phone, tablet, or whatever device. So that's an example of the process from thought to results. And in between, we have emotions, we have decision, and we have action. So to be able to navigate the way that you think to work for you in the most powerful and positive manner, what we need to think about is how we can rewire the brain. Because remember, the brain comes from a place of memory and feelings and all of those things that get evoked within us. And then the brain sends signals because of something that you may have experienced before. So we want to rewire and reframe all of that that's going on inside there. So what I would like you to try is to identify and think about the thoughts that you have that are on autopilot. Remember, we spoke about patterns in the way that we think when certain things are going on, when someone says something or whatever. And if you find that you don't actually have any patterns, that's absolutely fine, because any time that you have a thought that is less than helpful, I would like you to observe it. And in observing it, I would like you to flip it on its head and counteract it with something that is way more helpful. For example, nobody listens to me and nobody ever cares about what I have to say. We would flip that completely on its head, and having observed that that's a less than helpful way of thinking, we know, because we have spoken about the power of thought and what thought creates, emotion, that's a less than helpful one. So what we would say is, I am an excellent communicator, and whenever I speak, my opinion is always valued. You can also use affirmations, the law of assumption and things like this to speak over your life, the things that you would like and the way that you would like to grow and develop as an individual. So some of those things may sound like, I love that I have such a loving and supportive family. It is amazing to me that I have people that listen to me and hear me and support me. I have a wonderful circle of friends and family that empower encourage and enlighten me, and so on. These things will just go on to build you, and you won't have time for those unhelpful thoughts. A good trick with this, if you have something that you're able to do this on, is to record just a few, maybe 3 to 5 to begin with. Record them on a device that you can listen to last thing at night and first thing in the morning. So as I bring today's lesson to a close, angel students, thank you so much once again for joining me today. And I'm just going to leave you with a little fact and quick summary of our lesson today. Our brains download around 74 gigabytes of information a day. Now, if you compare that to a phone, the average phone has a memory of around 256 gigabytes. So we download 74 gigabytes on a daily basis, average, and a phone memory on average holds 256 gigabytes. That's a lot of information. That's the phone's memory. That's not what it's even downloading, but we are downloading 74 gigabytes on a daily basis. So please be kind to your mind as you navigate your way through turning any unhelpful thoughts into helpful ones, because thoughts create emotions. Yes. And in doing so, we want to create emotions of joy and happiness and fun and contentment and fulfillment. So if we know how to navigate those unhelpful thoughts into helpful thoughts, we will be able to do that. Now, if you're able to record, please do. Just do 3 to 5 of things that you really, really, really want for yourself. If that thing that I said that you want, that you don't yet have, include that in the now as if you already have it. So I want XYZ toy. I am so happy and grateful that I have XYZ toy. Take care, angel students.